Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, August 23rd. A very nice air mass situated up here in the Mid-Atlantic region with comfortable temperatures and humidity levels. It'll stay quite nice right through midweek. Humidity rises a little bit during the second half of the week, but all in all, not a bad week at all for this time of the year. Meanwhile, down in the tropics, quite an active scene. 3 different systems to monitor, and one of these systems has a chance to end the unprecedented drought of hurricanes in the state of Florida by the latter part of the weekend or the early part of next week. Indeed, there could be a hurricane that hits the state of Florida, and that would be the first one of any intensity since the year 2005. We'll focus in on the tropical scene, since the weather up here in the Mid-Atlantic region is quite nice indeed for the next couple of days. First of all, here's an infrared satellite image of the Atlantic Ocean region. 2 areas of interest circled here. This is the area of interest right now for the state of Florida. All indications are it'll move in a west-northwest direction towards the Bahama Islands, and then by the latter part of the weekend or the early part of next week, closing in on the eastern side of Florida. Some forecast models have it crossing the state of Florida into the eastern Gulf of Mexico and then turning to the north and east at that point in time. And we'll look at one of the forecast maps in a few minutes. Meanwhile, in the far eastern Atlantic, Gaston has become a tropical storm. It looks like it could intensify significantly over the next several days, become a hurricane. It will take more of a northern track, perhaps in this fashion like that to the north and west, certainly more of a northern route than this particular system. By the way, this system has yet to be named. It is not even a tropical depression at this time. When it becomes named, and I have high confidence that it will reach tropical storm status, it will become Hermine. Gaston looks like it'll go into the central Atlantic, probably turn away into the North Atlantic before ever reaching the U.S. coastline, but that is still too far away at this time to be certain. We'll focus in on this particular area of large area of showers and thunderstorms, as indeed it could have an impact on the Bahamas and Florida by the latter part of the weekend or the early part of next week. Well, let's now take a look at a map produced by the University of Wisconsin. CIMSS is the branch of the University of Wisconsin Meteorology Department that puts out this very useful map that shows where the Saharan desert air moves off the African west coast out into the Atlantic, and it basically is a dry air mass, and it is an inhibitor to the formation or the intensification of tropical systems. What I wanted to point out here, and by the way, all these maps will show during this video are posted right now in the latest blog regarding this particular tropical system that can impact Florida by late in the weekend or the early part of next week. Notice here the west coast of Africa, all this dry air is situated to the east of this area of interest right here. In other words, it has already escaped the inhibiting nature of the Saharan air closer to the African coast. By the way, Gaston is right here in this region. It still has some dry air to go through. Beyond that, it looks like it will intensify and again head out into the open Atlantic, take more of a northern route as compared with this particular system, which looks like it is headed right for the Bahamas, Florida, and skirting the northern Caribbean islands. The fact that it has already passed through or escaped this dry air means it's in an environment of more humid air. That is a favorable sign for development. Well, a more humid environment is one favorable sign for development for that particular tropical system. Again, if it becomes named, it'll become Hermine. Here's a second favorable factor for intensification. This is the sea surface anomaly chart for right now. Sea surface temperature anomalies in the Caribbean region, all of which, almost virtually everywhere, it's warmer than normal. All these yellows and oranges represent warmer than normal conditions right now throughout the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf of Mexico, and off the southeast U.S. coast. Off the mid-Atlantic coastline here, very warm conditions, well above normal The orange is showing up here. So all of this is a favorable factor for the potential intensification of this particular tropical system. Again, it has not even reached tropical depression status. Hurricane hunters are flying out there as we speak in the middle part of today. We'll get a better handle on the situation. But again, given the fact that it's a more humid environment and headed towards very warm waters relative to normal in the western Atlantic, all favor the intensification of this particular tropical system. Well, let's focus in on some computer forecast maps. First, we'll look at kind of an ensemble track map here. This is a compilation of several different computer models here. Almost all of them have them pushing this particular tropical system to the northern side of the Caribbean Sea, perhaps skirting some of the islands there, and then headed out towards the Bahamas and in the region of Florida. This will be by the end of the weekend or the early part of next week. Now, a little shift could make a big difference. If, for example, the storm pushes over Hispaniola here, there are some high mountains on that particular island, and that certainly could weaken any system if indeed it moves over the higher terrain of this particular island. But if it stays just to the north, it should continue to intensify as it approaches the Bahamas and then the eastern and southern part of Florida. Let's now look at a high-resolution hurricane model for the latter part of the weekend. And here we go. This is a forecast map from NOAA's high-resolution hurricane model called the HWRF. And this is for late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Indeed, it has a strong-looking system, probably hurricane status at this point, right over the Bahamas. And again, all those storm tracks would indicate that it would move towards perhaps the southern or central part of Florida. Some forecasts models have it then reaching the eastern Gulf of Mexico before beginning to turn around. Again, this particular system will become named Hermine over the next couple of days. At least that is what I believe right now, and it certainly puts in jeopardy the streak without a hurricane in the state of Florida. They haven't had a hurricane there since late October of that amazing year of 2005. That was Hurricane Wilma. It struck in the southwestern part of Florida, right in this region right here, made landfall in the southwestern part of Florida as a major hurricane. Not only was that the last hurricane of any intensity to hit the state of Florida, Wilma was the last major hurricane, i.e. Category 3, 4, or 5, to strike any part of the U.S. mainland. So again, this particular situation could end at least the streak of Florida going without a hurricane since 2005. Stay tuned to VencoreWeather.com over the next few days for updates on the tropical scene. That's it for now. I'm VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian.